We are live for episode 25. Welcome back to another episode of The Clean Truth. I am Dawson Holt.
And I am Ben Jones, and tonight we have the young superstar, multi-time world champion, Amanda Duarte, joining us on the show. Thanks for coming on tonight.
Thank you so much for having me. I can't wait.
Yeah, no problem. It's going to be a good time. So coming off of the U.S. Open, so one of the biggest events of the year. Obviously, we're in that summer stretch, kind of nearing the last half. Everybody's super busy, a lot of quick tournaments coming in. So we're going to talk about some of the more recent tournaments, as well as a big focus on the U.S. Open. Speaking of that U.S. Open, you had a pretty solid weekend there at the U.S. Open. So we have double ISKA grands, the 14 to 17 traditional forms, and the 14 to 17 traditional weapons. Won both of those. In addition to the NASCA side winning the forms overall grand during the daytime of the NASCA event. So a very, very successful weekend. Kind of go into a little bit of, and we can all talk about this, the mindset of US Open and the schedule and the mental aspect of how draining that can be and the physical aspect of how draining that could be, as well as just some of your overall experience from the event.
US Open was definitely amazing. Going up on that stage once again, but this time as like a different age group. For the last 3 years, I was 13 and under, and I won the traditional forms 3 times. But now to go into the 14, 17 and have those older girls that are already 16, 17, it was definitely more challenging. I knew I had to step up my game. And then going back to like during the day, US Open's so draining. Like all the divisions are all one day, and I was doing my like runoffs and my grands, and then my dad was like, Amanda, don't worry, overalls is tomorrow. So I was like, okay, like give it my everything. I was already focused on like the next one because I had already made it. I was doing my traditional forms runoffs, and I had already made it for traditional weapons. So I was kind of keeping my mind ready for like the next and the next, but it's a lot all on that Friday. So.
Yeah, 100%. And to do all those divisions plus some runoffs, and then, some of the overalls being like weapons are all on Friday. And then forms, you have it a little bit split up with the Saturday traditional form divisions as well. But man, that is a long day, huh? And
yeah,
it does make, at least from my perspective, it makes me appreciate doing sync on Thursday and kind of having that out of the way. But then at the same time, like sometimes, we've used sync as like a big warm up for us. I don't know if it really relates to you on like a typical Friday. You maybe would have like trad challenge, but not all of the rest of your divisions, right? Like
yeah.
trad challenge and then just the CMX divisions. So from your perspective, I think I talked to Esteban about this. We would use like sync as a good warm up to lead us into the Friday night CMX divisions. Do you view trad challenge kind of as like a warm up for that, or is it so different that it doesn't even really connect?
I feel like usually like it's always on that same day. So it's kind of like, it's pretty hard for me at least to transfer from like the traditional side to going to the CMX side. I use it kind of as a warm up, like that first kata, because now traditional challenge is like 2 rounds. So the first kata is like kind of my warm up, get into it. And then it's like second round, top 4. I need to give it everything. I need to win that division. But for US Open, it was good because it was on that Thursday. So I had like that mentality that I did the traditional. And then on Friday, I had everything for CMX. So I think it was definitely good that they were split into 2 different days.
100%, yeah. And then last kind of thing on the whole US Open scheduling too, like getting to the night of champions, right? Already Saturday ends up kind of being a long day too, just by being around. There's the forms overalls, whether they're supporting teammates or you're watching students. Everyone just kind of ends up there watching the fighting, whatever it may be. And so then you get to Night of Champions. Sometimes you don't really have a chance to really eat or get back to the hotel and like rest. So going into the finals, knowing you have more than one division in the finals, is there anything that really stands out mentally where you kind of have to go into like a different space, or what are you thinking about to kind of push you through the rest of that finals?
Yeah, it was definitely difficult that day because I only had 1 hour to really like get back to my room. My dad always tells me to take a quick shower before I go up for the night show just to kind of like refresh myself. So I feel like I just have to keep that mindset. Strong mindset, positive, go on that stage, give it my all. But it was 100% hard, like just 1 hour to go to my room, get ready, and come back. And then plus it was raining.
Yeah.
So like it was a really bad storm, but luckily we had a car and my dad drove me to my room and back. It's a far walk, but
Yeah.
yeah.
That's half the battle too, is that walk to the ranchos, man.
I was in Rancho 7B. It was so far.
I think that's the farthest you could possibly be.
Yeah.
We were in Rancho 6A.
Yeah.
So
Terrible.
but I think like we were just talking about like the walk and just how grueling it is to US Open is the most physically taxing for, I would say, for me at least personally, just because of just like what we've been talking about, all the divisions, but hotel, right? I think it's so easy to complain, but I think Ben, you mentioned this point, and it really made me just turn and realize, I was like, that's a really good point. And it's so easy to complain, but it's much more rewarding, to appreciate just the little things. Like, yeah, it's a long walk, but it's a beautiful view, right? But the pretty nice, hotel, and you have some time. There is a hot tub, right? There's pools, right? Nice restaurants. So yeah, I want to ask you about the ups and downs of the moving up and 14, 17, right? And being a young competitor, and you're already getting success in that division. I mean, that's got to be that's quite an accomplishment. Go ahead and talk about that, like some of the things, the ups and downs of it right now for you.
Yeah, it was definitely hard to move up into that new division. I feel like it's the same, like moving up from like that 14, 17 to the adult division. There's already the girls that are dominating that division. So you come in as kind of like because you are the new competitor. So like for me, especially at Warrior Cup, it was hard because I wasn't familiar with like the competitors, some of the girls I've never competed against before. And then going into Battle of Atlanta, I had a really tough tournament. It was my first time in 3 years that I haven't made the night show. So I was really upset with myself. I felt good during my forms, but I kind of I wanted to win, and I feel like I could have gave it a little bit more to make it on that show. But I'm happy that I've been doing really well, especially at the US Open, kind of coming back from Battle of Atlanta. So it was hard, but
That's huge, though. I think especially for your age, to be so young and have so much success, and then have one tournament where it hits you like, whoa, now I'm not on stage. And in the middle of all that, that can be a crazy feeling. Like, I think even since we moved up in the adult division, there's been like one tournament where like I didn't make stage for like anything. Like I think somehow we didn't make stage for either of the sinks. I didn't make stage for trad weapons or CMAX weapons or anything like that. And it almost gives you this like it definitely lights a fire inside of you, right? So like, oh man, it's like to just be a spectator during a night show, you're like, I should be in that. But then like I can't make an excuse. It's my fault that I'm not. So now I got to make sure for the next one I'm in that show. And so I feel like, and we've kind of talked about it a little bit already, but to go from Atlanta and have that happen where it's like, oh, this is so heavy, right? Like, oh my gosh, 3 years in a row, now I'm not on stage. But then you come back right after that and you come to US Open like less than 2 weeks later, and now we're winning double ISKAs, plus you won the NASCA overall. So like people don't even know sometimes US Open, the ISKA night show, is separate from all the NASCA overalls that you would usually see on a normal NASCA night show. And so when we say you won the NASCA side and then you won the 2 ISKAs as well, that means you basically did a whole night show before the night show and won the NASCA overall, and then went on to the actual night show to win the 2 ISKAs, right? So to have that, that experience in Atlanta and then, feel the weight of that, but then to come back and jump right in. And like we talked about, like Dawson mentioned, being the youngest in a division of, 14 to 17 is quite a gap right there, right? So to come in as the youngest and have that success is huge. And so like you said, I mean, you didn't say it, but that is a big deal, right? Like to take that loss, but to bounce back like that is huge. So I'm curious, I'm going to kind of steal Dawson's question a little bit, dive into it more. what was preparation, because there's not a lot of it, from Atlanta to US Open, like that 2 week and a half window? What does that look like to make sure you don't repeat that same experience in Atlanta?
Yeah, so it was definitely hard for me because before Battle of Atlanta, I hurt my ankle, and then at Battle of Atlanta, I finished all my divisions, and then it started hurting again. So it was hard for me to train from Battle to U.S. Open because of my ankle. So I had to like go to PT, make sure my ankle wasn't hurting as bad, and like I had to take training not lightly, but not as intense as I wanted it to be because I didn't want to get hurt again for US Open. I wanted to be at least okay to run my forms. And thank God I was able to do all my forms, but I was running full forms, running sections, going down to the basement with my mom, training, I went to the dojo in New York for one Sunday, but then it was back to the Thursday. Well, we actually drove to US Open, so we drove, I think it was Tuesday we left. So I also had like 2 days less to train. I didn't have that Tuesday to train. So it was hard, but I pushed through it, and yeah.
Yeah. We were talking about that, Dawson and I know. Once you get to US Open and we're getting there on a Tuesday, we're like, whoa, this cuts down a lot of the time in between, those two events, right? I mean, Dawson, I know we were in the room like, dude, we were just in Atlanta. It's like we didn't even have time. Now we're here, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, especially like, I mean, it's always that talk of like how time just is so fast, and just I remember just walking on the bridge, just looking around at the Coronado and the sun setting. I'm like, wow, the U.S. Open is already here. Like, it's crazy how fast this year has gone by. But yeah, that's really cool about hearing how much work you put into it. But you also brought up a really good point where trying to tell other students, very important with a situation like this, when two tournaments are back to back, you need to take your training seriously, but not to the point where you're training at a high intensity because you don't want to, potentially injure yourself. You don't want to do too much to where you don't recover on time, but you want to have a good mindset, right? And I'm sure like for Atlanta, that was plenty of fuel for you to just, sit back and just watch the night show. And it's just, and like, hey, like I've been there too as well. It's just like that just it just sparks your competitive, nature. So with all that training, yeah, it's overall, Amanda, that's really cool to hear. What else? I had a question, but I apologize. I just lost my train of thought with that question. Um, anyways, um, yeah, I lost my train of thought, but
I'll go back to something you mentioned earlier, and then if you think of it, you can just interrupt me if you want.
yeah, no, go ahead.
Since you mentioned it, I wanted to expand on it more too, because like the whole venue like situation, right, and perspective, I think is so important. Because exactly like you said, Dawson, it's like we're here. It's a long walk. It's insanely hot, right? And you're carrying all this, gear bags and weapons and all this stuff, and it's like But then you just like look around. And it's like if we weren't in the middle of a tournament right now, like we'd be in paradise, But just the fact that we're focused on why we're there. It's business, right? Like for us, that's our career, that's our job, like that's what we're there for. But I think it's also so important to like take a step back and appreciate the opportunity that like look where we are right now. Like we're competing in the middle of all this. So it's like, yes, we're here for a job, right? And we're not here on vacation, but while we're here, appreciate like what we're in the middle of, I think that was so important. And like you said, we were walking and complaining, and in the middle of it all, we're like, whoa, what are we doing? Like, look around. Like, we're crossing this beautiful lake on a nice bridge, passing by a restaurant, food smelling good. We're going, I mean, it's just like, it's the perspective is so important. You know what I mean? Oh, it's huge.
That is good. So I remembered, apologies, but I was trying to get deeper into the training leading up to it. It's, you're telling us what, your training sessions, what you were doing, putting in the work at your own, at your basement, your home Joe or home dojo, however you want to call it. But what was the mindset or the mentality going from losing, right, with your traditional division US Open? So it's like, was there any like big strategies that you had, or was it just like, all right, wash, rinse, repeat, do the same form that you have, but just try to put a little bit more intensity behind, the form? Like what was that like?
Yeah, I knew I had to step up my game. The girls in the 14-17, they're, like they're stronger. Like obviously a 17-year-old is going to be stronger than a 14-year-old, but I knew I had to deeper stances, cleaner technique. I've also been training a lot of being longer, like on my chops, my punches. So I was really focusing more on technique, trying to do some new things within like my trick pass. I pulled out my elbow cartwheel again that I haven't done in a while. So I knew I had to step it up to be able to win at US Open. And then on the traditional aspect, I just powered everything out. I was, doing everything I could to get that power out because I feel like that's what makes me different from the others, my power, my traditional kata. So, yeah.
Cool.
Yeah.
Was there like I'm curious, obviously especially not being like a Japanese traditional stylist, is there a practical thing that you changed from Atlanta to US Open to make the power come out more? Or was it more of just, I need to just think about this and apply it more? Or was it like between Atlanta and US Open, you did something that brought the power out? Or was it literally just the awareness of, oh, wow, I lost. I need to really bring it on the power side of things or on the stances, get a little bit deeper? Was there more of a practical, technical execution that happened, or just maybe the mental switch?
I think it was definitely a mix of both. Definitely, in my mind, I was telling myself I need to hit harder, I need deeper stances, but at the same time, practicing like finishing the punch and making sure the wrist turns all the way, not cutting stances, like going from one to the other too quick, making sure the judges can see everything, everything's super clean. So it was definitely a mix of both.
Nice. Yeah, that attention to detail is huge, right? So it's good. Sometimes these little setbacks are little blessings in disguise. It makes you focus on what do we really need to really lock down with those details, or it might point out a little bit of a flaw because you're like, oh, I lost something. They must have seen something, right? So then you go into it and you really hyper analyze, like, okay, what are they seeing? And then maybe you notice something, which if that had not happened, maybe you wouldn't have noticed that thing, right?
Yeah.
I also loved how you talked about, on the CMX side, like you brought out another trick, like the cartwheel, elbow roll or elbow wheel into like the flash, right? And so that was like, okay, hey, I'm going to add this kind of upgrade back in, like bring this back in to really step it up. And then like we talked about on the traditional side too, it's deeper stances, it's rotating that punch a little bit more, finishing one stance before transitioning. And just hearing you talk about that made me think you do a lot. Like we've got forms, we got weapons, we got CMX, we have traditional, and you're doing everything I just said. Like you're doing traditional forms and weapons, you're doing CMX forms and weapons, and then probably multiple of those CMX divisions. Plus you have the trad forms and the trad challenge, which is now multiple rounds. So you get pretty busy on one of these tournament weekends, right? So,
Yeah, I do 7 divisions during the weekend, so it's definitely a lot. I've noticed I have to cut out something, so I cut out the creative division, so I don't do the creative weapons or creative forms, but I still do the extreme weapons, extreme forms, and then the musicals, both musical forms, musical weapons, and then my traditional challenge, traditional weapons, traditional forms. So it's a lot, and then especially now that they changed the traditional challenge, which I love, 2 rounds, but it's draining, 2 more katas that I have to do, and they're not short. They're like a good 3 to 4 minutes long, so it's a lot.
Yeah, no, 100%. I mean, just taking division you're already doing and now doubling it, right? By
Yeah.
having an extra round. So it's like,
Yeah.
wow, that is a lot. And the coolest part about though, it's not that you're just doing a lot of divisions. There's variety in those divisions. And so it shows how well-rounded you are in this aspect of competition is like you can compete at the highest level with CMX forms and weapons. Some people, that's a challenge, doing CMX forms and weapons. And that's not a dig on anybody. That's a legitimate challenge. Like to do both of those at the highest level is tough. So then to also do the same thing for the traditional side is, probably quadruple the times harder, right? And so talk about some of the balance of like, how do you train out all this stuff? Because there's only so much time in a day. So like, are you focused on efficiency in your training, making sure I can knock out CMX forms and weapons, traditional forms and weapons? Is it like you have a trad day? Do you have a CMX day? Talk a little bit about the balance there.
Yeah. So, really, like before a tournament, it's different. I try to knock everything out. Like at least my training sessions, at least one of each form. But I usually do like 2 run sections. But on normal, like before, like no tournaments before, then I'll do like 3 times a week. I'll do like my traditional form. I train with my sensei in Brazil also on Zoom. So like we do sometimes 2 days, 1 day a week, and then I also train in Long Island with Sensei Steven. So I train there on Sundays. And then with my CMX stuff, it really just depends because I also train with Dawson. So it's whenever we both have time because he's also training, I'm training. So it's hard to sometimes find time. Same thing with Haley for my CMX forms and traditional weapons. It's hard to find time sometimes. But if I don't get to train with them, then I'll train on my own with my mom downstairs. And it just depends. Maybe one day I'll do traditional weapons in traditional forms, or I'll do CMX forms, CMX weapons. I'll mix it up. It really depends. But I try to train at least everything every week.
Yeah.
It's a lot.
Yeah, 100%. And then to do it at such a high level it's very impressive too. Like it's easy to say like, oh wow, this is a lot, but it's also like props to you for doing so many different things so well too.
Thank you. Yeah, it also gets hard too with like the whole like traditional circuit that I do. Nationals is coming up this week. I'm leaving Tuesday. So it's hard because for that type of tournament, you have to have more than 1 kata. So I have at least 5 katas, and after the 5th one, I can repeat, but we try not to repeat. So I have to have 5 down strong, like these need to win the match. So it's hard to also train all that plus all my CMX stuff and my traditional weapons. It's definitely a lot, but
yeah, no kidding. Hey, but you're making it happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's good.
Yeah, and I think you're just like simple. You're a black belt, so your traditional is, really, really up here. And I'm not dissing on the CMX. They're all really good. But you mentioned my name, and this is, stuff that, when we're training, one of the things that you have to overcome is your environment. Not in competition, it's where you're at. In CMX, weapons, it's kind of the norm where you throw your weapon at a certain height. You don't really have that luxury, Amanda. So that's part of, your thing is, okay, well, you're just gonna have to get good with what you got. And it's been fun for me, right? Watching as a coach, right? Watching you develop and seeing all your other divisions as well. Like you did win ISK with traditional weapons. Who coaches you in that? Haley Glass, right? So you're around a really good group of coaches, right? Look what we're in here. Real coaches matter, right? Shout out. Yeah, shout out Mr. Duarte. Shout out. And so just giving you the chance to, there you go. There, that's what the back looks like. So give it a look myself. So
yep.
Shout out to Mr. Duarte, for getting us these shirts. So coaches too. You said that your mom also is with you in the basement. So I always like to say, man, like my parents, my parents aren't black belts, but they know what looks good and what doesn't look good. How engaged you are in your journey through competition and just through martial arts. So you have awesome parents, Amanda.
Thank you. I always also, when I'm training with my mom and I do like something that I haven't done before, or I do something really good. My mom was like, hey, that looked really good. So then I immediately grab my phone and I call my dad, and he's like upstairs watching something. And I'll be like, Dad, come down right now. I need to show you something. And he'll be like, yo, bro, that looks good. But yeah, definitely it's hard sometimes when I'm training that CMX sword because my ceiling's pretty low in the basement. So sometimes getting new tricks, it's hard, but we make it work. I also go to open gym. I try to go at least once a week, and then I'll bring my Boken and I'll have like that higher ceiling to be able to like throw it, do some spins, and get that stuff down. But
100%. Yeah. And I mean, just kind of giving it to you a little bit more, like, you know, with the coaches that you have in your corner, you know, have played a big role in your journey, right? Just go ahead and, you know, talk about each coach within your journey of, you know, your form, your divisions, right? With trad sword. You don't have to talk about me at all.
Please don't.
But yeah, I'd love to hear the other coaches, right? So.
No, I'm still going to talk about you, but I'll do the other ones first. So I have a Brazilian sensei that he lives in Brazil, and we train twice a week. It's definitely hard because it's online, so I don't have that like if my knee's out, like push it in. But it's definitely good because I like to get like outside, not just one person telling me what looks good and what doesn't, but having more than one, because I also train with my sensei Steven in Long Island. So then he's kind of that person that like will push my knee in if it's out, or fix my toe if it's out, you know, like things like that, having them all in my corner. And then the person who started me with my traditional forms was Maddie Kenaway. So having her teach me my first kata, and then thereon just always supporting me, was definitely really good. And then for my CMX forms and my traditional weapons, Haley. So there was a time I wasn't on any team, and I had just started doing NASCA again, and I had no motivation at all. Like I thought that was gonna be it for me. And then I started training with Haley, and I started developing and getting better. And thank God for her that she came into my life and I'm here today. But doing all those hard trainings online, because also all my coaches, Dawson also, like we're online. Like there is no once in a while we'll go to a tournament. Like we train at Battle of Atlanta, but it's hard to train online because I don't have that like fix this to this or things like that. But and then Dawson, I love training with him. He's so creative, doing all my new sword stuff. Yeah, always something new. I love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. I think we've probably all been through it as a student and now as a coach, where you have maybe we'll say as a student perspective, we have a coach who's physically there and in front of you, and obviously that makes things easier because like you're saying, if something's out of place, they can physically put it in place. So then you can feel what it's supposed to be like. So next time, you know, they're not there, you can remember that feeling, right? Rather than something they said, oh, I remember what that feels like. That's easier to apply. Then there's the other side of, hey, we're virtual because everybody lives all over the place. And there's still so much value to that though, right? Like you're saying, like, I mean, you can completely revamp a whole form and the student can know it within an hour virtual lesson, right? Like I did a lesson with a few people this week, and I like made a brand new form within an hour, and like by the end of the hour, the form was made. They knew it already. So it's like there is value in the virtual training still, of course, right? And like you said, just having those people that are not physically like there with you, but are backing you up, and they're there for you, even if they're not there in your presence, right? And that's something that's so cool about this sport is with everybody being so spread out, you know, we're most likely going to the same events. And so I might be working with so many different students from all over the place, and then seeing them all come together in one place and getting to work with them, some in person and brush up on things, and then see how they do while we're physically there. You know, it almost feels like a huge family reunion. And then it's almost like I've got all these little kids, and then I get to see all my children again at tournaments, you know, with all these students. So from the coach's perspective, it's cool because it's like, you know, here at my home training space and teaching lessons out of here all the time, and then show up to a tournament. It's like, hey, you're actually like physically here, and now like, oh, we can actually tweak a couple of these things and make this work, and you can feel it. And the next time we're on virtual again, I can be like, hey, remember that feeling we talked about? Okay, let's apply it. And now we can use the virtual and the in-person to like mesh and make it work together really well. Something that I think is cool, we've got this coming up too. Here we go with Amerikick Princeton right here, July 25th, 1 to 4 p.m. at Amerikick Princeton. We got myself, Dawson Holt, Caitlin Vong. Amanda, are you going to be there?
Of course.
Amanda's going to be there, right? We've got a bunch of other like great Amerikick competitors that will be present for that as well. So like that's going to be a huge seminar workshop that we're going to be running private lessons all throughout the weekend as well. So if you're in the area, July 25th, Amerikick Princeton, if it's not sold out yet, because we're getting there, make sure you grab a spot because that's going to be a good time and hopefully a good opportunity for like you guys coming together as student and coach getting to actually get in person again and get some detailed work in, right?
Yeah. We've had it once before at Amerikick Princeton, actually. Yeah. I forget when it was, but it was one of the camps. He came, and then I was able to, like change my form, get some new things in for next tournaments and stuff. So it's definitely good to be able to train in person, but online also.
Yeah, 100%. We kind of touched on it too. Having your parents, I know Dawson talks about this all the time. Like he literally just said it. Parents may not be black belts, but they know if it looks bad. I can tell you that. And they know if it looks good too, And so you've already mentioned it a couple of times, like you'll be training in the basement with your mom, right? Obviously we know your parents pretty well. And so we know that, they are involved. Like they are a part of your journey, and they're so supportive of you. And it's so evident. Talk a little bit about those two specifically and how much they've really driven you to where you are now.
Yeah, they were definitely one of the biggest supporters. So whenever I train downstairs, I don't really like to train alone. I always like someone there with me to watch me and tell me if something looks good, if something looks bad. So having my mom there, she always tells me stuff looks good, but I'm like, Mom, did that really look good? And then she'll be like, redo it. And I'll be like, okay, I knew it. I didn't feel it. But then she'll like take videos of me, and then I'll be able to like go back and we'll both watch it together. But then having my dad also there for me, he's always like, Amanda, how about you try this with your sword? How about you throw it this way, or maybe cut a different way? Yeah, it's amazing to have both of them. Yeah. And especially when it was like during like the virtual stuff, like during COVID, I was still competing online on the virtual tour. So having really no coaches, because that was a time where I transferred from one karate school to being on my own. I really didn't have anyone until we looked for coaches, and then we found Haley Glass and Dawson. So they were really my coaches during that time period because there was no one else really there until we found people. So
yeah, I don't know if you remember, I used to judge those all the time, and so
I do remember.
Yeah, I was like, I actually, looking back on it, I judged like a lot of people in that virtual tour that are like really great competitors now, which is crazy to see, like coming out of COVID, and they were, just doing that little tour of tournaments, and now out on stage. It's like you out on the ISKA stage taking double grands. It's like, what? Like
yeah,
that was a little girl killing it in her basement on the virtual tour. Now she's on stage at US Open. Like that's super cool to see that kind of transformation happen,
Yeah, and it was cool for me too, because during the virtual tour I was still doing Taekwondo. So then to transfer from Taekwondo to then doing now Shotokan karate, it was a huge difference. Like I had to change everything, my stances. So that was also really cool.
100%. Yeah. Okay, so now we get to dive into a little bit of a fun little segment so everybody can get to know you a little bit better. We may even share some of ours too if we have a really good one that we can, discuss amongst the group here. But we've got Amanda's faves. So we're going to talk about, I'm going to throw something your way. You'll tell us the favorite of that category. And then if you want to send it back our way, you can. Completely up to you.
I will.
we'll get to the interview swap in a little bit as well. So we haven't forgot about that. But if you want to throw any back, we can. Dawson, we'll go back and forth on this. So I'll give her the first one and then we'll go from there. So we'll start with favorite tournament.
I think my favorite tournament is probably Battle of Atlanta. That was my first ever NASCA tournament as an underbelt. So to go back to that tournament every year, it just has like a special feeling to me. Being on that stage, I've been on it before. You know, seeing the first ever night show that I got there, I saw Dawson. I think, Ben, you were on it too, and Haley was on it. And my dad told me, he was like, Amanda, you see that guy with the cool sword and the cool hockey one? He's going to be your coach. And I was like, okay. And now look where we are today. Like, now he's my coach. And, like, going back to that tournament, yeah, I love it. And the venue, the hotel, so nice.
I mean, people have probably heard it, but I'd have to say the same. Because, like, that was my first NASCA event 12 years ago. Actually, 13 years ago, technically. I went as a spectator, and my brother competed, and I didn't compete. So I think I've actually been saying that wrong, technically, for, like, a long time. So I'm pretty sure I actually went for the first time in 2013. But we didn't even stay for the night show. And so that was a mistake. But we didn't know any better, at the time. But yeah, I would have to probably say Atlanta for kind of the same reasons. Like, it was my first one, first win, first runoff win, first overall win was all at Battle of Atlanta. So yeah, I have cousins close by, so like I get to see family during it too. They come watch. I had some of my cousins showed up this year to watch and support. So yeah, I would probably say the same.
Same, yeah. It was also my first tournament, and that was 12 years ago now. So yeah, it's kind of the similar story. When you get exposed to the night show, I wasn't even a black belt yet, so I was competing as a underbelt. But yeah, same thing. Like when you get exposed to the night show and you see everything, it just completely changed my life. It's yeah, just like I don't even want to try to name all the people that I remember seeing, but because I'll probably, forget on accident. But it just, yeah, I remember walking out of there, just being hooked. And nowadays, like, yeah, during the summer, my family, who doesn't really come out to watch me anymore, just because I'm older now, and it's harder now. So my parents comes out at that tournament specifically, and will still watch, and it's cool to see. It's still cool to see the people that show up to that event that you don't really see all the time. Like my family, Ben, like I don't really see his family often, so it's always good to catch up with Kevin Henry, which I mean that's the first person that popped up in my head. So he was one of our friends growing up, in the tournament circuit. He was tight with all of us, Ben, his brothers, Dalton. So it's like always good to, see the people back at that tournament because it's Battle of Atlanta. Like everyone comes to that tournament. Yeah.
Micah Carnes was there. Micah Carnes, Caitlin Deschelle.
Yeah. I mean,
I saw Micah Carnes watching my division, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, I need to lock in right now."
Yeah.
I was so nervous.
Yeah, like everyone shows up, like like alumni, like Kalman Choka still comes, Marcel, like a lot of people from the Atlanta. And, they're just there to just spectate, or they'll help out judging, which is also cool to see. Them contribute in some way, whether it's working or still teaching lessons. So yeah, Battle of Atlanta, that's mine.
Cool. We got the next one.
Mm-hmm. That is so favorite tournament. It's tournament division. So
ooh, that's good. I have to say traditional forms. Hey, I do enjoy my CMX though a lot too. Like my CMX open hand and my weapons. It's so much fun. But I feel like I just really like for my traditional, I feel like it's my stomping ground. Like traditional, like I'm known for my traditional kata. So it's always great to be on that mat and compete, especially the traditional challenge, because it's not only my age, 14, 15. I get to compete against like the older girls, which I like to do that too.
Awesome.
Do you have like do you have a specific like do you have a favorite form that you like to compete with, or they're just all like, have some they just all mean something to you in one way? I don't know. Do you have one?
I definitely love all my katas, but Sansai is probably like my safety. I don't know. Like I just when I feel like I need to win or like I'm struggling in that division, I'll be like, I need to do Sansai. Like I need to do this kata. So yeah, definitely Sansai. I love doing that kick, like the high kick where I go upside down. Yeah, it's my favorite.
Yep.
Nice.
And it was also the first kata that I learned. Maddie Kenaway taught it to me.
Oh, cool. Hey, that's awesome.
Very cool.
Every time I see that form or hear that form, I just think of Diego.
Yeah.
Yeah, with
his song. Yeah.
Yeah.
Pia doing that. Yeah, that was dope.
Mm-hmm.
That was dope.
What about you, Dawson? Favorite division?
I enjoyed doing musical weapons. When we can use our music. That was mine. When we can use our own music, especially for a night show like the Diamonds or Quebec Open, that'd have to be my favorite. I love doing. I love doing everything. It's I all love it, but I'd say probably my most favorite to do. It's just a musical weapons.
I would say the same. And then I have like you said, like Diamonds night show, with the four of us being able to use our own music. And growing up too, like that was my favorite division to watch. Now it's my favorite one to be a part of and to perform. Because I remember like US Open watching the Uptown Funk form from Reed, like and the rest of the, all the other songs that are with connected and tied to those performance, like those really stood out because of the overall performance value, like the music that backed it up. And like when I think about that form, I think about the song. Like I don't even remember what he did in the form, but I remember the song playing and everybody was going crazy, And so it's like those songs really played a deep factor in the entertainment value of those divisions. And those are divisions that I've watched as a kid that have stuck with me. It's like those provoked a feeling that I still remember, So being able to be a part of that and hopefully give that, something to someone else who might be in the audience, like getting to go on stage, like Diamonds, for example, like all of us, like all of our forms alone were killer, but then the performance with like the music, each one of our performances in that night show, like the music that went with it was so sick. And it was also different too, like 4 different vibes. And Jaden's nailing it right here. It's a different energy. Like split flips when you hear that music come on, especially if it's a song that like you've trained to and you've choreographed and people know and it's popular. Like so
right.
That's mine too. I'm right there with you. Okay, next one. Favorite tournament snack. So this can be like in the middle of a tournament, right before, right after. Tournament snack. What you got?
I like candy when I'm competing. But my favorite would probably be goldfish because something I could snack on real quick and like go into my next division, especially doing all those divisions during that day. I need something to like fuel me. Not that it's going to give me a lot, but before I compete, I also don't like to eat. So I need something to keep me going. But I do remember one cool story about snack before competition, and it was with Ben. It was at Quebec Open, and I was like, I'm like hungry. I don't know what I said, and Ben was like, hey, I got something, and it was a Rice Krispie treat, and it was so good. And he was like, this is like I think you said it was like your lucky snack or something. And then I went on stage going with that, and I was like, okay, now Ben gave me this Rice Krispie treat. I'm gonna go win. And I came back and I was like, look, Ben, I won with the Rice Krispie treat.
Yeah, I was hoping you were gonna say that. I was like, there's only one correct answer here. Like it's technically it's your opinion, but there's a correct answer. So, yep, you nailed it. I would say that is definitely one for me. I haven't had them as much recently because I've been trying to just not eat candy in general, which I don't know if that qualifies as candy, but but I mean, Dawson and I have always had the go-to gummy bears. I mean, you gotta have them. But I'm trying to mature as a person and eating more apples instead of gummy bears, inspired by Dawson because I'm always like, hey, what do you want for the room? Or like if he comes to my house, I'm like, what do you want? He's like, apples and bananas. I'm like, got it. So I'm like, I always know we're gonna have apples in the room. So trying to swap that out for like a Rice Krispie treat or gummy bears has been a good thing. But also like, yeah, see, mom knows.
Yeah, see, like, I mean, it's the gummy bears with what it has in it, it's good, but you don't want to have too much of that. But
Yeah. A little boost, just a little.
yeah, you can overdo it. But I mean, I'll have a big bag, so it's like if anyone sees, like, there's been a few of the people like, I got teammates, who needs, like, Alex, about to fight. He goes, bro, give me a gummy bear. I'm like, go ahead, got you. But yeah, apples, bananas, that's kind of my go-to as well. Protein bar, electrolyte packets, for a long day for obvious reasons, especially if we're, if we're in Orlando or Miami, hot room, then yeah, need some to stay hydrated. So,
Sure.
yeah. Oh, shout out. These were, being sold at the tournament. It was, I got this as a gift, but yeah.
I have a water bottle from them too, and it says my name on it. I got it. It
Oh.
was at Amerikick. They were giving out like gift cards for whoever won an overall. So then I got 2 water bottles. I got one with my name on it, and it was like a bigger Owala, and then I got a smaller one with my name on it also.
Nice.
And I got one for my teacher for the end of the school year for a gift.
Nice. That's awesome. Last one. I'll take this last one since you got the next question anyway. Post/pre-tournament meal favorite, and you could go with one or the other, or you can give both if you have an answer for both. Completely up to you.
Okay. So pre-tournament meal, I always have to have a chicken Caesar salad. That's also a mistake. At Battle of Atlanta, I didn't eat my chicken Caesar salad, and I was like, Mom, look, I messed up. I should have ate that chicken Caesar salad. But yeah, always that chicken Caesar salad. And then post-tournament, I love to get home and have my mom's rice and beans after like a long tournament, like having like all like outside food. I like to come back home and have that.
Valid. It's valid. Dawson, you got one?
Yes, I do. It's the menu that it's every time when we order off the menu of Chick-fil-A, it's the grilled chicken club meal with a fruit cup.
And that's the pre, right? The pre.
Always love, yeah, that's my pre. Always get that. And then for post, it's whatever's available. Whether it's if pizza is on the menu, then it's going down.
Yeah. I mean, Dawson already said it. Chick-fil-A is the pre and the post tournament meal. But yeah, I usually end up with some pizza right after. Typically, I mean, that's right after the night show because like that's all there is. Like Dawson said, whatever's available. But Chick-fil-A, I mean, that's a pre, a during, and a post. That's just an all-time,
I had Chick-fil-A after the U.S. Open night show.
Nice.
Amazing, right?
And then at Competes, I was having Chick-fil-A like every day.
Oh yeah, because there's one there.
In-N-Out and Chick-fil-A. That's literally was what I was eating all weekend. Like lunch would be Chick-fil-A, dinner was In-N-Out every night.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's the compete diet right there.
Yeah.
That is, yeah. In-N-Out, Chick-fil-A, or Denny's.
A lot of love for Chick-fil-A tonight.
I also wanted to bring something up. So I've been working on I'm in a series. It's called City of Honor. And we've been filming, and we just finished filming the 3rd episode. So I've been also busy with that stuff on top of my karate. So that's also super fun. And then there's a new project that I'm going to start working on. I can't really say a lot about it, but it's definitely going to be fun.
Cool. Hey,
but the one that I'm on now, City of Honor, is on Prime Video, Tubi, Apple TV, on a bunch of big platforms. So
Elijah's on it. He knows what's up. That's super cool.
Yeah, I want to also with cool getting to know some of your a little bit of your personal favorite segments, right? Where it's all the Battle of Atlanta because it has some specialty or has a meaning to you, right? Seeing all the people in the night show and then tournament meal, chicken Caesar salad. That's I mean, if you eat it, then it's over, right? So
Yeah.
um, now for my question to you with we've been talking about your ability to do all these to compete in all these divisions, traditional CMX, all in crammed up in a day or two. um I just want to ask you like your goals, you know long-term goals for CMX, um and traditional, like where do you see yourself, for um for both of those divisions? If not, I mean, if there's a short-term goal or if there's a long-term goal, love to hear from you.
I think my long term goal is pretty similar to most people's. I definitely want to go down as one of the best to ever do it for the females. Because I don't, I like you said, I do both CMX and traditional. So, I want to go down as one of the best, well rounded. And then kind of more on the traditional side, since I've been doing the traditional tournaments. I'm hoping to make Team USA this upcoming week, and then I'll be able to compete for the national team in Costa Rica. And then if I win first, the World Games would be in Poland. So I definitely want to go out and represent our country, and then yeah, just go down as one of the best.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
Yeah, that's great.
Taking that even a step further to dive into like the individual process on each one, right? So looking to, like you said, kind of be one of the best to ever do it. How does that look when it comes to like the traditional side of things? Because obviously, like if you're gonna do one kata, it's gonna be the same moves, right? But how can you, change, like kind of like we talked about earlier, like deeper stances or turn that punch over a little bit more, things like that. And then how does that compare to the CMX where in a way, I guess it's all made up, right? But it's like it's a creative process and it's always changing, it's always evolving. Whereas traditional, it's pretty set, and now you just work on the details and the different little aspects of the game. How do you kind of see yourself like taking the traditional side and really driving that forward, and then same thing flip to the creative side, driving that forward, where it's a little bit more, always changing, always evolving. With the traditional, it's going to be what it's going to be, but it's how well are you going to execute it?
Yeah. So for the traditional, I feel like kind of having 2 to 3 katas that everyone kind of knows you for. So like for my Sansai, everyone's like, "Oh, is Amanda gonna do Sansai?" Like everyone knows me for my kick. So it's definitely, I think, um, always evolving and having better stances, like those little things we talked about. But and then knowing me for having power, for those type of things, like the Sansai kick, knowing me for that. Like if someone sees Sansai, they're like, Amanda used to do that when she was competing. And then kind of more on like the CMX side, definitely becoming more creative with like my hands, my sword, and then also traditional weapons. I think creativity, I just really want to become more creative and then known for like, hey, like Amanda used to do these cool things when she was doing her open hand form. I want to do something similar. Or like timing to music, how like some competitors used to have really good timing to music, kind of those type of things that people can look back and be like, hey, do you remember this competitor? I kind of want everyone, not everyone, but some people to look back and be able to say that about me.
Yeah, awesome. Very cool. Very nice. Very nice. So we've got a lot of good comments coming in, a lot of people tuning in. And now we get to switch it. We get to flip everything on its head. So we get to switch roles. Amanda is going to take over the interview and she'll send a question our way. We'll hopefully give a good answer. We'll see. And then from there, we'll wrap things up.
Okay. So my question is, what was your biggest challenge in martial arts and how did you overcome it?
How's it going?
Martial arts, just martial arts.
Across the board.
Yes.
Oh,
Do you want to take it first?
Um, it wasn't really physical. It was more up here because I think to be completely honest, when I was younger, I didn't really believe in myself that much. Had low self esteem, so it was really hard for me to be able to right believe in myself that I can be good, especially when I was starting to get into NASCA and like you know it was it's seeing how insane the athletes are and the level it is. It was overwhelming for me at first, and so that was my biggest challenge is, it's like I had to believe in myself first. And so, yeah, martial arts and that comes, there's, so much you can learn from kicks and punches, but it's more the, um, what's the word? Principles that you learn along with it, where it's, discipline, respect, integrity, self control, all these things. But for me, it was just, it was that.
Yeah, I think for mine is still pretty competition focused. Um, I think I've talked about it probably here or maybe somewhere else before, but it's a good reminder. During around COVID time, I I was super pumped, like because I figured things would restart pretty soon, and then it like didn't, and so I kind of went through this slight burnout phase because it was like, okay, tournaments are going to come back. When they come back, I want people to just see me as a completely different competitor. And so I went super hard on a brand new form. I scrapped everything I'd been doing, brand new form. The form was probably made very, it was a very difficult form to execute. And beginning of the year, I did hit it, and I came out, in Chicago with a win, and then we had a crazy runoff, and didn't make it out of that runoff. But that form kind of led into a little bit of a burnout because I was trying to do just so much in that form, so that when I came back, I was taking everything that was already made to be a very, very difficult form. And then I was like, okay, by the time things reopen back up, it's going to be that form times 10. And so I was working for like even harder upgrades, and it burned the love right out of it for me for that short amount of time, right? And then when things didn't come back, also I was like, oh, okay, so like why am I putting so much time into this if it's not even gonna like happen again? And so I went through this phase of like, I don't even know if I want to do this at all anymore, right? Which is crazy to think about because if I would have like went down that path, I wouldn't have ever been on Team Paul Mitchell. I never would have won all these different things, whatever. I never would have met so many different people. I mean, I wouldn't have had the life experiences and the opportunities to impact others like we've had within the last couple of years. So it was a crucial moment, I think, in my career where I did continue. And, um, but I took a little bit of a break because I'm like, nothing's happening right now. I spent so much time trying to get ahead of everybody that I got to the point where I just burned myself out. So then I was like, now I'm just going to be behind because I don't want to do it at all anymore. Everyone's going to continue to do it and then get back ahead of me. So there's just this weird mental thing that I went through. Um, and then, yeah, I was fighting to still get on Paul Mitchell. It wasn't happening. And I was like, oh my gosh, what am I doing? But then I just kept going. And my parents were huge in that because they never pressured me to do it. But they encouraged me that if you want to do it, keep doing it, keep going for it. But they never said, like, during all that, like, no, you have to do it because we have goals for you to get on Paul Mitchell or for you to win these things. It was never that. It was always, hey, if you don't want to do this at any point, you can stop at any point because we're not going to push you to do something you don't actually want to do and then end up hating it and looking back on that aspect of life, like, just with regret. So that was a huge moment, and I think it's led me to a good mental perspective that I still have today. Um, that at any point, if this doesn't become enjoyable in any way for me, I don't know, why I would keep doing it. And so it's helped me enjoy the process a lot more. Um, Win or lose, rain or shine, if things are going good, if they're not, if I drop everything, if I catch everything, if I'm having fun along the way, I'm impacting others, and there's still value in it. Um, So that's been a good perspective that I've had. So that COVID time was definitely a pivotal moment for me. How I got through it, kind of, yeah, like I said, like there wasn't pressure from my parents, but there was encouragement and support. So that's huge. And then, I still had goals. And so that still drove me forward. I had goals that I had not accomplished, but I did have to take a step back and just like, okay, I need to chill for a little bit. Things haven't opened back up yet. I have time. We're going to be okay. So that's that. Let's throw the question back at you. This may or may not have something to do with it. I don't know, but your dad's calling you out. So.
Oh, yeah. I forgot to mention when, for my training, I trained with Sensei Rosenberg also, David Rosenberg, here in New Jersey. I train with him once a week. I go to kata class. So that's also been, really supportive and really well. But, the question, one of my biggest, challenge was probably, when I transferred from a karate school to being on my own. So I was going to a school and I got my black belt there, and I was just not like having it. Everything there just felt like a competition. Like everyone in the dojo felt like a competition. I wasn't really feeling it anymore, and I would come home and I would cry and I would tell my parents, I don't want to do this anymore. I'm over it. I'm done. I'm quitting. And then my parents also kept encouraging me because I did have a goal. I wanted to compete. I wanted to do NASCA, but at the time, the school wasn't letting me do NASCA. They weren't letting me do no competitions. It was just inside the school. So I had finally gotten my black belt, and then I told my parents, I was like, okay, this is it. I'm done. I'm going to go to what I want to do. I want to go compete. I want to go meet people. I want to go be like Dawson and Ben that I saw on the night show. I want to go be like Haley, like those people that we saw at Battle of Atlanta, because I was still at that school at the time. So then I was done with that school, and then COVID hit at the time that I was like, no school, no team, no instructors. It was just me and my parents, going back to what I said before with competing virtually. So then I was competing virtually with really no coaches. Just what I knew was what I was doing. My parents were helping me clean some things up. And then COVID was over, and then I started competing outside in NASCA. And I started with like the local tournaments, getting kind of some recognition there. At the time, I was only doing traditional forms and traditional weapons, and that's when I started to learn my Shotokan karate with Maddie. So then I had that huge change from Taekwondo to karate. And then I started doing my CMX. I started doing my CMX stuff again because I did know how to do CMX from the previous school that I went to. But I feel like my biggest challenge was just having people there for me, and then kind of refining people that actually are there for me, that I know that now have my back. So yeah, I feel like gaining trust again, and with martial arts. So
yeah, that's huge. And I think a lot of people can actually relate to that too. I've been through so many different karate schools, partially from moving, right? But then also because of other things, and just you end up that sometimes just on your own is better, and you're not limited, and you can just grow like crazy, but with that support system of like virtual coaches and your parents and maybe other people who just back you up along the way, whether it's your instructor or not, having that support system is huge. And I think a lot of people can relate to that too, just like you. So awesome.
yeah.
Well, you were a great interviewer. Thank you very much.
Of course. Thank you.
Awesome. Well, yeah, this has been amazing. Obviously, so you said you're headed to nationals. Would you say Tuesday?
Yeah. So we leave at 7 a.m. on Tuesday to Spokane, Washington. So I've never been to Washington State, so I'm excited for that. The competition there is also really different from NASCA. So it starts on a Thursday and it ends on a Sunday. But it's like I compete on Thursday and I only have one division. So it's either you do kata and kumite, or just kata or just kumite. Kumite is like the traditional fighting stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So Thursday they pick like the top 4. You compete for the top 4. And then on Sunday, the top 4 compete to get a spot on the team. So top 4 are technically on the team, but only first and second place will go out of the country to represent in Costa Rica and then Poland. So, yeah, I'm super excited for that. It's been a goal that I've been wanting to achieve. I went to nationals 2 times already. It's going to be my 3rd time. So,
Super cool. Well, good luck
Appreciate
with that.
Thank you.
You're gonna kill it. That's awesome. Well, very cool. Yes, we got a lot of good comments in here. We're showing a lot of them on the screen as well. But yes, congratulations on all the recent success. You've been doing an amazing job. We're excited to see how nationals goes for you, and then the rest of the NASCA season, plus any other tournaments and things that you'll be competing at and showing up at. So we're excited to see the future for you.
Thank you. Thank you so
No
much for having me.
Oh, of course. It's been a pleasure. And thank you to everybody else who was tuning in. There's Malachi. What's up, man? Big inspo. Yes, sir. Thank you to everybody who's tuning in. Thank you, Century Martial Arts and Sport Karate Zone, for the platform. This has been another episode of The Clean Truth, and we will catch you guys next time.